Of course.
Hello, loves. So, I'm going to read you a bit of my introduction. This is a little book, it's a workbook that is available on Amazon called The Seven Sacraments of Health. And it's something that I did. It was kind of an alternative thesis to my graduate thesis that I was thinking about doing, but I didn't do, and it also just kind of lined up with some things I was thinking about and journaling about regarding health. And so I'm just going to read to you a little bit from the intro. Health is wealth, or you have nothing if you don't have your health, are phrases commonly heard and well heeded. Most of us would not argue with those sentiments and have probably even commented so ourselves at one time or another. Indeed, I cannot think of a more axiomatic understanding or a safer cliche to take at face value. But what is health? For many, it may mean the absence of any major illness. Excuse me. For others, it means the ability to perform daily routines with energy and a feeling of well-being. While for some it indicates the ability to perform optimally and or achieve feats of elite athleticism. According to the concise Oxford Dictionary of English Etymology, health is defined as soundness of body, mind, or spirit, with an Old English reference to a toast drunk to a person's welfare. Hey, the very root of the word heal comes from the Old Norse, meaning whole. The concept of health and wellness is constantly evolving and has shifted from that of being free from disease to a more holistic one that includes quality of life and several dimensions of health, including physical, emotional, social, intellectual, occupational, environmental, and spiritual. In the United States, where I live, chronic or non-communicable diseases are the major cause of morbidity and mortality. According to the World Health Organization, 2002, 88% of deaths were due to chronic illness, including cardiovascular disease, cancers, diabetes, and chronic respiratory disease. In 2017, individuals aged 65 and older accounted for 16% of the U.S. population. And this, combined with an increase in chronic diseases, as well as higher prices for health care, accounts for the escalating costs of healthcare spending. A trip to the shopping mall or grocery store, a ride on the bus, a night out for dinner or a movie is all it takes to see for ourselves the unhealthy body weight and poor consumer choices of our friends, neighbors, and others in the community. Globally, the WHO cites a 70% rate of chronic illness as the main driver of mortality, and especially premature, before the age of 70 years mortality. I'm trying to remember what the distinction here was. I might need to go back and look at this. This was 2017, 65 and older. So I guess this is before the age of 70. So I might need to look at that in case you have a question about the distinction. I kind of do. So the WHO 2018 cite 4 major risk factors for such poor health outcomes. These are, probably not surprisingly to anybody, tobacco use, physical inactivity, excess use of alcohol, and poor diets. Okay, so there's more, but I don't want to make this too long or tedious. But yeah, this is kind of the topic of my book, and the book, it's actually a workbook, so there's little exercises to do. It's not very long. Includes, and this is just a rough This isn't the actual book. Like, I think I gave away all my copies, so I need to order some more. But this is my copy of my gallows, or whatever they call it. And my cat chewed on it, so nice, huh? But anyway, so it's broken into two parts. The first part is the sacraments, and the sacraments, you know, consistent with the title, are seven sacraments. Chapter 1, Sacrament 1, mindfulness. Chapter 2, food. Chapter 3, Sacrament 3, movement. 4, community. 5, gratitude. 6, nature. 7, rest. So there we go. And then the second part is sort of the evidence. So it's first, part 1, the sacrament. So I go over and talk about sort of what I mean by each of these and what they mean traditionally to us, and how they find themselves in the health literature, and how they find themselves also in religion, myth, and practice. So that's the first part. Part 2 is making it happen. So that's where you put these into action, and I rely on a lot of cognitive behavioral models. So as you probably know, there's something like 300 of these cognitive behavioral therapy modules. And so I kind of rely on the ones we tend to know most. Anthony Bandura, DeC and Ryan. So like, let's see if I can remember. Oh, also the stages of change model. Yeah. Yeah. So cognitive behavioral models for change. And I go through, I talk about the evidence, what do we know, a little bit of that, background, a little read from my fiddle lesson. Then setting goals, breaking it down, enlisting support. I give you little exercises for that. The journey begins, some resources and references. It's a really simple book that I kind of like rushed out because I got tired of writing. I got impatient, and I just kind of wanted to trial balloon it. And I'm just trying to decide if I want to continue to work on it and make it a little more fleshed out, a little hardier, a little denser, or if I'm done with it. And it hasn't sold that well, like maybe 20-30 copies have sold. Like, I'd really love for people to purchase it and give me their feedback, their honest feedback, and use it as something that we can work on together, and you can ask me questions and we can do exercises together, and you know, just in this like completely accepting, non-judgmental space. Because I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not a physiotherapist, I'm not a physiologist, I'm not a registered dietitian. I am considering pursuing the RD. It's something that's going through my head. But I do have a graduate degree in health psychology, and that's really the focus of this, is like the biopsychosocial model and changing our behaviors, but also aligning that, because I also like transpersonal psychology. So this sort of blends transpersonal psychology with the biopsychosocial model and cognitive behavioral therapy, or tools, modules. So I think it's a decent little project. I would really love for any and all of you to go to Amazon and look up The 7 Sacraments of Health by Olivia Cala and order it. It's very inexpensive. I think it's $3.99 on Kindle and $5.99 for the book. And I recommend the book not because I'll make more money, although obviously I'd like to get back what I invested. It's a self-published project. But it gives you worksheet pages, so you can actually go through and write stuff down. But the Kindle, it's all there, and you can just do it on some scrap paper, or buy a notebook, because journaling, as I've talked about here before, is I just love it. I find it just really reassuring and grounding. That's one of the reasons I've talked about this before too, that I like doing this little YouTube thing, because I tend to spend a lot of time on YouTube. I love it. I'm kind of an addict. I enjoy other people's content, but I can get lost in my head that way and lost in inactivity. And when I'm doing my own content, then I it just sort of motivates me to actually do stuff, like look at my book again, maybe do my exercises, work out, because I might put it on YouTube, but I work out anyway. But just it sort of like reminds me that my life is valid too. My life is interesting too. My life is active. And you might enjoy seeing some healthy aging. And I don't think I'm like the pinnacle of healthy aging, but I think I'm doing an okay job of it. And I can say that you got to keep moving, even if it's 10 minutes of something most days, like really, ideally, like considerably more than that. We need 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week. But if you're feeling unwell, if you're dealing with, age-related hormone changes or thyroid issues, anything that's keeping you, from being able to really push, do something. Get some bands, try working with bands, while you're watching a movie, while you're watching some YouTube. Put your phone up on the thing and just do your bands, do some, 10 to 15 minutes. And especially if you can sort of like superset, like do some supersets, so like you actually get your heart rate up a little bit. You probably need to do that. You will feel a lot better even just for a few minutes of work. And there is a dose-strength relationship between not only cardiovascular health outcomes, but mental health, which is a huge part of what I address here. I didn't even go into the mental health piece here in my intro, but it's there. There's strong evidence that exercise boosts all the catecholamines in our brain that make us feel good: serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, all of them, and stimulates brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So you can sort of boost, you do tend to boost neurogenesis. So when I'm in school, I like to study before and after. I mean, work out before, then study, and then probably work out some more, unless it's late. Then you want to sleep. Sleep is also really important for neurogenesis and forming memories and consolidating knowledge, moving it from working memory to long-term memory. So yeah, all of the sacraments are really important. Mindfulness, food is the central mystery of life, movement, community, relationships. People can literally die of loneliness. Gratitude. I work on that every morning, you know that. And I know it's not always easy, because we have a lot of things to feel like, frustrated about in our culture. There's problems. It's not perfect. But if we can remember that, like, okay, we want to work and address material conditions, but hey, in the meantime, wow, my house is warm. It's like 7 degrees outside, and I'm sitting here in a t-shirt. I'm fortunate. I am privileged. I can take a hot bath. I have food. I have a family. I am fortunate. Thank you. Thank you. Right? And of course, nature. it's almost impossible to get enough of it. And rest. So, you know, I've talked about it in my exercise, you know, when I've exercised, you know, with you guys on camera, rest between sets and rest between workouts and rest in general, sleep, not just rest. You know, there's like non-sleeping rest is restorative as well, and that you can add the mindfulness piece to that. It's a great opportunity to add that in, to just touch ground with what you're sensing and just being present. That is also restful. So these things all tie together. They're all tied together. So yeah, and sleep. And sleep is specifically important because of the hormones that it releases, the neurotransmitters that it releases. And I think that the cerebrospinal fluid moves through your brain and cleanses toxins and plaques. And I think that that's when like astrocytes are built and renewed and things like that in our brain. So our brain health really relies on all of these. And our brain and our body are not separate. We are one. We are whole. So again, the name of my little book is The 7 Sacraments of Health by Olivia Kahlo, available on Amazon. Very inexpensive. I hope you'll purchase it and contact me. Here in the comments, and we can work together. And I would love to share that with you. And again, thank you for those of you who are here with me, who are checking in, who are helping me build a community. Hail and blessed be.